Okay, this will be part two of What If Naruto Was a Psychic? So, we start off where we ended at the last part with them heading out. So, Team New travels for a couple days. Nothing really happens, but on a night when Naruto is scouting, Shikamaru comes up to him and says, "Hey man, what are some ways that I can use my psychic abilities in um like cool in powerful ways for offense?" Naruto says, You are the smartest thing to that currently exists. You're you I think I think you're more well equipped to, you know." Sugimura says, says, "Yeah, I know, but I'm not well versed in creating new abilities. Your whole thing is creating new abilities." Naruto nods and yeah, yeah. Well, like the guy said, your power isn't just intellect. Your power is your mind. So, I guess try to be creative. Shikamaru starts thinking, and then he says, hmm, "Oh." Shikamaru then says, "Ah, I have an idea. I have an idea for a couple of things." Thanks, Naruto. Naruto says, anytime." On the same night, Ino come Ino comes up and says, "Hey, Naruto?" Says, "Yeah, what's up?" She says, can you help me make some new tech abilities for my mind transfer?" Says, "Yeah, what do you need help with? What do you need help with?" I just don't know what I can do." Naruto says, "Well, your mind transfer isn't instantaneous. It's a projectile, right?" She says, yeah. Well, think about that. If it's a projectile, then maybe figure out ways to make it instantaneous or try to do some stuff like that." Ino starts thinking, and she says, "I have an idea." Narcissus just says, "Yeah, good, good. Go and do some stuff. I don't really know." Sorry. And then Kiku comes up and she says, "Hey, Naruto." Says, "Let me guess. You want some help with creating abilities for your telekinesis for your psychic abilities?" Says, "Yeah. How'd you know?" Naruto says, lucky guess." Says, "Well, for yours, it's a bit more easy for me to say. It's not the way that your ability works isn't really like specifically swords. It's more or less just controlling like energy itself and energies and everything. So take that how you must." Kiku just Kiku then has like a has a has a light bulb goes off and she says, "I understand." Naruto says, "Finally, please let that be the last one." And Sasuke jumps out of the tree, and Sasuke comes out and says, "God fucking." Then Naruto says, "God fucking damn it! I don't fucking know about yours. That's the thing. Yours is a specific thing to your clan. I don't have a Sharingan. I don't know how to make new abilities for you." Sasuke says, "What? It's time for us to switch." Naruto says, "Oh, I see." Naruto jumps down and says, uh, I, Sasuke just said, You've been up too long. Go take a nap. You're off duty for the rest of the night. Naruto not complaining, says, "Oh, well, fuck yeah, sure." We skip. Now wake up. They wake up and they just start They start talking, having breakfast. Naruto goes and gets some stuff for dinner and for like lunch and dinner. After after a bit, they come to a town. It's not the town that they were that they were assigned to on their mission. They start asking around and talking to people. They ask one person, "Hey, have you heard anything about the village hidden in waterfalls?" Then they say, yeah, I heard that like people have been going missing. That actually has been happening to us as well." They ask more people and like they keep getting the same answer where it's like, yeah, something's happening in this village. Naruto and his friends go and get some food and some sake and some sake. They It comes down to Kiku to pay for the food since none of them brought their money. She says after the food, "I swear on my life, you guys will be paying me back as soon as we get to the village. Understood?" Everyone's like, yeah, yeah. They slept. They sleep for a little bit, but then wake up. They see a powerful spirit. She looks about 6 foot, wearing a black kimono with a red flower pattern on it. She has 8 arms coming out of her back. She seems to be going around grabbing kids and men in their 20s to 30s looking. She then kills them and seems to be slipping away into shadows. Naruto says, "Okay, guys, I will. I'm gonna go. She is clearly a very powerful foe. You guys stay here for a little bit. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and follow her for a little bit." Naruto tries following her, but he seems to not be able to keep up with her. She keeps grabbing things, killing them, grabbing people, killing them, then slipping away. Naruto has to keep using his sensory abilities to find where she even is. Naruto's just like, what? How is she doing this? After about like 7 minutes, she appears behind Naruto, and Naruto says, the woman tries to grab him, but Naruto dashes forward. He says, "If I try to fight you, I'm gonna die." Naruto kicks her away, and Naruto dashes forward at her, kicks her once, and then starts running away. He gets his team. They then jump up and they do the same thing that Naruto was doing, but this time they're trying to push her out of the city. Some of the members actually some of the members start throwing up because of how gruesome these deaths the way that he's killing them are. They succeed in trying to push her out of the city, but the sun comes up and she seems to slip away into one of the tree's shadows. The group notices this, and and Shikamaru says, "Seems she probably has some sort of she probably can only be out during the day." They go back to town and make a plan. Shikamaru says, "So it seems Shikamaru says we obviously can't fight her in the middle of the streets. We would kill many civilians." Everyone nods their head in agreement. Shikamaru says, "How about this? We push her outside, and then from there we just wing it." Everyone is dumbfounded. Is like, "What? Shikamaru's like, I don't know. I don't know what she's capable of. She's clearly strong, but I don't know what she's capable of. Try to make sure my thoughts are being transferred at all times. If you can do that, if you can do that, I'll be fine. Nods her head and says, "Yeah, I have a new technique that's actually gonna really help during this fight." Shikamaru nods his head and says, yeah, me too." Kiku says, "Yeah, me too." Naruto smiles and says, "Okay, okay." Sasuke says, so that's what you were talking about." Everyone's like, "What?" Naruto nods and says, "Yeah." Everyone just is weird. Everyone's like, "What?" But they just like forget about it. So they then say, "Yeah." Naruto says, "Yeah, that's probably the best plan, to be honest. We just wing it." They then go about their day doing stuff, talking to more people, doing some shopping, doing some stuff, helping out the townsfolk. Yeah. They they come across a kid, and this kid seems to have lost his parents. Kiku goes up to him and asks, "Hey kid, what's wrong?" He says, "M- "My my mommy and my daddy, they haven't came home for a while. I don't know what's wrong." Uh, Kiku says, Hey, um, it'll be fine. What's your name, may I ask?" The kid says, "My, my name is Doma." Kiku says, Interesting name, Doma." He then starts crying, but the thing with his tears is they don't just look like water. They look like a galaxy. They look like galaxy-esque. She goes to Kiku notices this and goes to wipe them. But as soon as she does, they disappear. She says, Doma, have your tears always been like that?" Says, Yeah, they have. My mommy and daddy said that I was special." Uh, Kiku then says, "Wait a second." She then takes Doma back to Naruto, and Naruto looks at him and says, "Yeah, that's yeah. I saw a guy that looked relatively similar to this kid get killed last night." He goes down and says, "Hey kid, so your parents said you're special?" Doma says, Yeah, they did." Naruto says, I see. So Kiku, you said his tears were like galaxies?" And she says, Yeah." Says, Yeah, it was weird. So, kid, what else is special about you?" And says, um, "I was always able to do things like this." He then he then goes up to a vase, like in the ryokan, or like the air place that they're or like the inn that they're in. He goes to a vase and pokes it. He like pokes it with his finger, and when he does that, the entire thing turns into a galaxy, and then it like washes away like a fluid. Because yeah, I've always been able to like, if I wanted to poke things, not living things, but just poke things like that, and they would turn into like that weird fluid. I was just, yep, he's definitely a psychic. Says, then Kiku's like, what do we do?" Sasuke says, "I mean, isn't it obvious? We take him back to the village." Shikamaru says, "I mean, yeah, there's a chance that he could just hurt people. There's a chance that he could hurt people if not trained with his ability." Naruto says, "Yeah, I mean that's probably the best." Goes up to him and says, "Hey, have you ever been able to do anything else?" He then says, "Yeah, I could do this." He then takes a scoop of the like galaxy substance, and then he molds it into like a ball. And he says, "I can do this," and then he molds it into like a bird, and then the bird comes to life like an actual bird. The bird like starts flying around him, and then he says, "Be free." The bird, something clicks in the bird's eyes, and then he flies out the window. Says, "Oh." Naruto says, "Oh." He then says, like Naruto then thanks and says, "Hey kid, what's the biggest thing you've ever made?" Says, "Oh, I made a dog. Yeah, he was our pet for a few years. He died by accident. A tree fell on him." Naruto says, "I'm sorry to hear that. So, what do you think's the biggest thing you can make?" Says, "I don't know, but I've always wanted to make things. I've always been very artistic." Naruto says, "Hey, wait a second." He then goes and gets a piece of paper and a brush, and he says, "Dip this brush in that substance, and then create, and then draw something on this page." The kid does it, and he draws an amazing picture. He draws an amazing picture of his dad and mom. They Something that happens, and they come out, but it's weird. It's almost like whenever they come out, they're corpses. He then starts like crying and like uncontrollably sobbing. Ka- uh, Kiku Kiku grabs him and holds him and says, "Naruto, get the fucking corpses." Nurse, I don't, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Then Kiku's like, "I don't fucking know." Naruto then grabs him and just says, he then says, "Black, black orb." Says black ball, white ball, and then he slams the balls into the chest of each of them, and they get absorbed into the balls, and he like crushes them in his hand. He says, "Okay, it's done." 'Cause- And the kid's still sobbing, and he says, "Oh, what?" And it looks and says, "Where did they go?" Naruto says, "To a better place." The kid's like, really?" And the kid, like, not the Naruto nonsense, says, "Yeah, they did." Naruto said, Naruto then thanks himself. So he probably can't create humans. I have an idea. Naruto then takes the kid out into the forest and says, "Create," and then says, "Draw a monster." The kid, the kid then goes up to a leaf, takes out the leaf, and then pokes it. It turns into the galaxy substance. He takes the brush and then he draws a monster. The monster comes out and it's a giant. The monster is about 10 feet tall with tentacles coming out of its back. With tentacles coming out of its back and spikes for fingers. It bows to its bows and says, "Master, I am at your service." The kids freak the fuck out. He says, "Ah, then the monster says, "Don't be alarmed, Lord Doma. I am but a loyal servant." Naruto says, "Yeah, so I'm guessing." Naruto looks at him and says, "You're a psychic kid." Doma says, a what? Naruto says, a psychic. You have special abilities, not even not even ninja have. You have a have a very interesting ability actually. You create you take non-living things and make them into living things. It's like a cycle, and you're clearly artistic. You're like an art. You're like an art. You're like an artistic. You. I don't know the words for this actually. You're like an art. You're an artistic psychic. Hmm. Interesting. Doma says, "Is that good?" Then the monster behind says, "Ah, yes, Lord Doma. That is fantastic. You can you create amazing, wonderful things that can help. That can help." Doma says, Really?" Naruto looks at the monster, and the monster has no ill intent. The monster is being 100% genuine. And then Naruto goes up and says, "Hey, what's your name?" He says, "Oh, I don't have a name. Lord Doma hasn't given me one." Doma looks up and says, "Squidback." As he says this, the monster clearly grows stronger. He says, "Oh, my doth my name is Squidback. Hmm, what a splendid name." Now his fingers are not just spikes. They're actually they're like talon-like claws, and the like tentacles, and then like the tendrils, they have like spikes on them. They have like spikes on them now, like hundreds of them. And then his face, and then yeah, and his face just looks like it has its its eyes. Its eyes are reverse colors with black outs, with like black outs and like white pupils. Yeah. And it says, "Well, my name is Squidback." Then the kid says, "Ah, I like you." He goes, "Oh, Lord Doma, I'm much pleased." Then Naruto says, hey you. There's a really powerful spirit roaming these. We're taking this kid with us, by the way. We're taking this kid with us. Uh, and does that mean that you're coming with us? He says, "Oh, yes, wherever Lord Doma goes, I must go. I must protect him." So, good, good. Since you're coming with us, you're going to have to wait on us at the inn that we're at. Okay? The Squidback then nods and says, "Oh, of course, I'll protect Lord Doma with my life." Says, "Okay." Takes him back, and then everyone's like, What the fuck is that?" Because Squidback is he's tall. He's about 10 feet, and he's an imposing figure. And then Squidback's like, oh, please, please don't be alarmed. I'm just a creation of Lord Doma." Yeah, and Nard says, "Yeah, any he has the ability to create any living things that are not humans out of inanimate objects." Says, "Yeah, but then Nard says, "How old are you, kid?" He asks, like, "How old are you?" Doma says, I'm 5 years old. I'm 5 years old." Nard says, "5. He's about ready to enter the academy. I'll tell I'll tell the higher ups that I'll be taking care of him. It's like, what? Everyone's like, what? What? Just what? You have to give him into the core. And I says, yeah, no, I'm not giving this kid into the core right now. I want to go through the normal steps of becoming a ninja. And then I was like, so you're adopting him? I was, yeah. I mean, he's only about 8 years younger than me, so not. And I say, hey kid, what do you think about the name Doma Uzumaki? Doma Uzumaki? That has a nice ring to it. Okay, kid. Well, whenever we get back to my village, the village that we're taking you to, well, your village now, I'll be adopting you. What? Adopting me? And then Naruto says, yeah, adopting you. But my parent. Naruto says, he looks at everything, and there's like, and then looks at Squidback. Squidback's like, what? He looks at the kid and says, Doma, your parents are dead. Doma's Doma's like, oh, so they are. I thought so. Doma then says, so you're gonna be my new dad? Naruto says, dad is a strong word. Acquaintance would be a better word. Or, not acquaintance, sorry. Mentor. So from now on, call me Sensei Naruto. No, I'm not calling you that. Damn it. Okay, sure, call me dad if you want to. But I'll be teaching you how to use and train with your psychic abilities. Doma nods and says, okay, dad. Naruto like blushes a little bit, and like he like looks like embarrassed, and just like laughs. Sasuke comes up and slaps him on the back, and says, "Hey, nice going. You can use this to impress the ladies. Show them that you're good with kids." Naruto's like flushed and says, "Shut up." Yeah. So night comes, and they head out to do the plan. Squidback. Uh, Naruto looks at Squidback and says, "Make sure he's protected." Squidback Squidback bows and says, "Of course, Master Naruto." They head out, and They do the same thing they did the previous night. They keep following her until they can push her outside, but this time they have a lot of time. So Naruto says, "What may your what's your name? What's your name, spirit?" And she says, "Oh, my name is Ani. Is Ani. I'm the fear of shadows." Naruto says, I see. Naruto says, "You do know we have to kill you now, right?" Ani says, psychics, I see. Psychics, I see. Well, no one's been able to kill me for the past 300 years. Please try your best." Ani, Ani then dashes forward and tries to hit Naruto in the face with a punch. Naruto sidesteps it and jumps up, kicks her in the face with the psychic energy thing, where he waits the last second to apply it and blasts her next. Blasts her. Shikamaru says, "Ino, cast my thoughts to everyone. Ino then says, "Got it. Time to use my new tech. No, time to use my new technique. Mind fragmentation. Mind fragmentation." Now, what this ability does is the way that her normal thing works is she has to focus on one thing at a time with her mind transfer. But the way that this works is she can fragment her mind into like 10 different pieces, and each of them work as their separate mind, and she can control them all at once. So one fragment goes to broadcasting Shigamaru's thoughts, and then she says, "Okay, let's do this." Shigamaru says, "Got it." He then looks through Naruto's eyes and says, "Naruto, give me good, give me good surveillance. Sasuke, you too. Kiku, make sure, make sure you're up there as well." Anna gets up, and before they know it, she's pounding away at both Sasuke and Kiku at the exact same time. Her 8 arms going flurry after flurry, and this and with the last hit on both of them, she she blasts them away with a sort of black explosion. The two hit trees, and Sasuke gets up and says, "Damn, what the hell was that?" He says, "Yeah, what was that?" Kiku says, "Oh, you haven't figured it out yet? Ah, you're so dense. I'm the fear of shadows. I blasted you with shadows." No, Sasuke says, "Oh, fucking damn it." Sasuke then says, "Alright, let's go." He then says, "First Tomoe, attraction." Then 13, then like 13 trees instantly attract onto Anna. Anna comes out, scratchless, and says, "Good attempt." And says, "Fuck." It says, "Third Tomoe, perfect clone." The Tomoe then the two clones pop out of his back. Says, "Let's do this." He then jumps up. They all three of them jump up and say, "First, second Tomoe, weapon creation." And then Sasuke screams. And all three Sasuke's in tandem scream, "Perfect, perfect creation." And they all throw the hammer at the exact same time, infusing with psychic energy and slamming into Anna, slamming into the ground. Oh, then they all scream in tandem, "Naruto, now!" Naruto takes out his. Naruto then says, "Kyosho style." He then creates a sphere with what seems like red electricity, like a black and white sphere that's see-through with red electricity that has black and white outlines inside of it. He then says, "Kyosho style, black and white finger pistol." He fires it at Anna, and then he goes in and starts going blow for blow with her. It seems that she can do the whole thing where she waits to the last second to expel psychic energy as well. So Naruto's going blow for blow with her. He says, "Oh my god." Naruto says, "Okay, I now." And then he activates damage growth. He lets he attacks relatively. He starts going kind of sloppy and lets Anna get a lot of attacks out on him. He then jumps backwards. Says, nice." Naruto then says, "Gray beam." He holds out his hand. He holds out his palm, and he says, "Gray beam." A half white, half black ball appears in his palm. It it emerges together, and in an instant, a beam blasts through, and hits Anna right in the chest. She gets blown back and hits a tree and says, "Ah, that was more than I've had in the past 300 years." But Naruto doesn't let up. He takes out his staff, the blade extension, and he says, "Gray slash." He slashes, and Anna's entire top half gets slashed off. It regrows, and she says, "That's wonderful." Anna jumps up and jumps forward and hits and starts palm striking Naruto in the chest. Naruto says, "Oh my god." Naruto then jumps up and says, "Gray, you dimension slice." He then slashes from her top left shoulder all the way down through her to the right side of her body. That side gets completely cut off and it regrows again. "This is wonderful." And says, she then creates a ball of shadow in her left hand, throws it to her right hand, she then throws it up, and then jumps and spikes it down and says, "Spiking shadow." The shadows start going everywhere, hitting everyone. Sasuke Sasuke dodges the shadows and jumps up and screams. "Shard!" And he jumps up, and with all three of his clones, he slams the three hammers into her back, slamming her onto the ground. Shikamaru says, "Perfect, Sasuke." He then says, trap creation, exploding square." And as soon as she hits that square, an explosion that's bigger than an explosion that's bigger than a 3-story building goes goes off, but it's condensed in that one square. Anna gets up and says, "Whoa, if I was waiting 300 years for this, that's fun." She tries to move, but then Shikamaru says, "Nope, life giving." As she hears this, a bunch of rocks are holding her in place, and they say, "Master Shikamaru, Master Shikamaru." Huh? Ino then Ino then appears behind her, and as she screams, "Mind teleportation." She then she then start she then starts punching her in the back. She then starts punching her in the back as fast as possible to get some damage in. Anna t- Anna you, Anna like this caught Anna off guard. So for about a second, could get some punches in, but then she mind teleported out as soon as Anna's arms started going in. Kiku then makes one. Kiku then makes her sword and starts throwing and slicing at Anna. It's not really doing anything though. She then takes back the sword and says, "Well, time to try this." She then she she then taps the ground. She then taps the ground and says, "Got it." She then takes two fingers. She then takes her index and her middle finger on her right arm, lift them up on like her right arm, lift them up, and then flick over, and two ginormous boulders appear in front of her. She then says, "Telekin." She then says, "Telekinetic." Telekinetic destruction. She then slams her hands down, and the boulders go and hit right into go and hit right in to Anna. Anna's laughing uncontrollably. She kicks away the stones and says, "This is fun." She then brings out from her kimono a sword. Says, "Cursed weapon, not cursed weapon. This is not okay. Spirit weapon. Hell's 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 cleaver." As she says Hell's cleaver, her shadows seem to take over the blade. She jumps forward and starts clashing with Kiku. Kiku's trying her best to make sure, using using her energy sensing to predict the moves, but it's not enough. The shadows of every clash are getting on her and start scratching at her. Every shadow is just scratching and cutting her. The final clash, Kiku gets knocked back and falls into a tree with blood gushing out of different cuts. Naruto just says, "Fucking hell." He then picks he then draws a circle in the air with his then draws a circle in the he draws a circle in the air and then says healing and says gray he, gray healing circle and slaps and then hits it over and then it plants itself in her center chest and it starts healing all of her cuts. Anna looks back at Naruto and says, "Oh, you seem to be smitten with this young girl. A crush, maybe?" Naruto says, "Nah, not really. There's only one girl in this world that I like." We cut over. We cut over to the Leaf Village as Hinata is out training. She sneezes and says, "I wonder if Naruto-kun is talking about me." We go back to this. Naruto then says, "Time to do gray eyes." As he says this, his black and white eyes shift together, and his gray eyes come out. Anna blitzes forward. Naruto then says, "Attack counter." He then starts with his index finger, spam countering every single attack. All the attacks are just being negated, and Anna jumps back and says, "How are you doing all of that?" Says, "I don't know." He then says, "Rock creation." As he says this, he gestures. He goes down, hits the floor, hits the ground, and then brings his hands up. And as he does that, several ginormous boulders appear in the sky. He then clamps them together and says, "9 boulder fall." He then pulls his hands down, and 9 ginormous boulders just shatter to pieces as they just break into Anna. So, Anna comes out and she's clearly busted. Sasuke says, "I'm not gonna let you have all of this." He then says, "Amaterasu." He then puts his Amaterasu on his hammer and sword. He then jumps forward and then starts going blow for blow. Anna is keeping up, but just barely. Sasuke then says, Fuck, I guess I can try this." As he's going blow for blow, says, "Susanoo." As he says that, a purple cladded armor goes over his arms, and it goes onto his weapons. And as soon as he feels this, his attacks get faster and faster. Anna is barely hanging on. Shikamaru says, Sasuke, 3, 2, 1. As he says this, Sasuke slams the hammer and hits the back of the hammer with his sword. It blasts Ana back into his trap square, and he says, "Trap creation, freeze." As he says this, sort of like ice ice cuffs, right? Like cu- um like shackles made of ice connect her to the floor. She breaks out of them, but it gives Kiku enough time to come up from behind and say, shape creation, energy ball." She slams it down. She slams it down on Ana. She then makes spears and starts going into Ana. She then she then makes clubs and starts banging swords, swords, hammers, everything. Just keeps banging, 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 banging. Naruto says, "Okay, chill, chill, chill." Kiku then stops and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, uh, so if you're saying, oh well, you said that Sasuke couldn't use his um abilities in can use his abilities when he has his like Sharingan abilities whenever his like Mangekyo's out. No, what I meant by that is he couldn't use like he can't use attraction obviously, but if his weapons break or are destroyed, he would have to downgrade his Mangek to his normal to get those back. If either of his clones were killed, he would have to downgrade to get those back. So yeah, because they're solid things, like they're actual things made of pure psychic energy. Yeah. So then Kiku says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Naruto goes up and says, "Everyone, close your eyes." They ask why. Sasuke says, Just close them." They close their eyes, and Sasuke says, "Get it over with." He then says, and then all they hear is Naruto say, "Absorb." His eyes go back to being black on his right side, white on left side, and then they, and then he becomes a blob, a sort of blob of a mass of just blackness, like black on right side, white on left side. It starts going into like a sort of pattern, like it goes into a sort of pattern, like a wheel of what is it called? A yin and yang wheel. And then Anna is absorbed into it, and then he goes back to being in like his normal form. He says, "All right, everyone, you can open your eyes." Everyone says, "Where'd Anna go?" Naruto says, "Oh, I absorbed her." He says, "Oh, okay." Because everyone knows that Naruto can absorb things. They just don't know how he absorbs them. Naruto then says, I wonder." Yeah. They go back to the end. They go back to the end, and Squidback and Doma are still there. Squidback says, "Oh, seems that you guys are done." Says, uh, yeah, yeah, pretty easy fight to be honest. Doma then says, "Oh," Doma says, "Oh, are we going now? Back to the village?" Naruto says, "Not quite. We're going to another village where we have to take down something." Doma nods and says, "Okay." Squidback picks up Doma and puts with his tendrils and starts carrying him. They head out of the village and then they start traveling. Everyone just it's a pretty sorry, it's a pretty normal travel. Nothing strange. Some low-grade curses. They actually don't. They actually have Doma and Squidback fight a um, high mid, a high mid curse. So what happens is this sort of boar, this boar spirit, this high mid level boar spirit is going to attack them. Naruto was just going to hit it was just going to hit it in its face and have it explode. But then Doma says, "Hey, I want to try. I want to try." Naruto nods and says, "Okay, go ahead." Doma has been training a little bit, understanding, and Hog and Squidback says, "Ah, let's go. Let's go, Lord. Let's go, Master Doma." They jump. Squidback jumps forward and with his tendrils starts going and slashing and stabbing at the boar. He grabs the boar with his talons in his face and digs them in and throws them in the air. Doma in the back, Doma in the back, right, draws something. He draws, he draws the exact same boar, but bigger, and he throws it out. Squidback, Squidback picks it up and throws it at the other boar, and something weird and something strange happens. The boar, the boar grabs into the snout and then starts eating the boar alive. Everyone's completely freaking out. Well, not freaking out, but everyone's like, "What the fuck's happening?" He eats the boar. The boar eats the other boar, and lands on the ground. And then something strange happens. He turns into a man with a boar head. And the person has a has is completely ripped, is bulking muscles. Says, "Ah, my name. Well, I don't have a name actually. Master Doma." Doma's like, "Well, what?" Says, "Oh, well, oh, yeah, I guess you don't understand. Well, the way that your psychic abilities work is if you draw something based on something that is also a spirit, and that thing absorbs that thing fully, it becomes stronger. I know it's a very specific thing, but yeah, that's how it works." Oh wait, no, I can't make Squidback and this thing have the same voice. It says, "Yeah, that's how it works." Uh, Doma says, "Okay, um, I need to give you a name, don't I?" Says, "I mean, you can if you want to." And he says, Boarhead." Says, "Okay, Master Doma, I am Boarhead." As he says that, as he says that, the boar guy starts transforming. He's transformed. Wings pop out of his wings pop out of his back. A sort of sort of tusk like like claws. Tusk like claws come out of his like knuckles that he can retract, if you get what I mean. If you get what I mean. Tusk like claws start retract that he can retract. And then his arms he becomes even more muscular. Then he says, "I am Boarhead, the servant of Master Doma." And goes over to Squidback and says, "Oh," and then says, "Hey, Squidback." Says, "Oh, Boarhead, yes. Let's make sure to keep Master Doma alive and healthy and safe." Says, "Oh, well, yes, that's exactly what I want." By the way, Squidback. He's wearing a top hat. He's wearing a top hat with a vest with like a 1920s like suit on, 1920s style like fashion suit, and Boarhead. He's wearing nothing actually. Boarhead's wearing nothing. He's just completely nude. So they make it to the village after a couple of more days of travel and a bit more training. They make it to the village that they were assigned to. As soon as they step foot in the village, even Doma and Squidback and Boarhead, they all just like completely feel just a presence. They go around looking for they go around looking for people in the village. There's no one there. They try to look around for clues, see and see anything, if like if they can find any clues about people missing or something. Just try to find something, but they can't find anything. But they do sense something. They look around. They look around and they don't see anything physical. But they do notice something that's like in the air. They go up to it and they inspect it for a little bit. Shikamaru says, um, "Tap it." Naruto taps it, and then a staircase appears. They start going up the staircase, and once they break through the clouds, they see a ginormous golden palace, resting on air, resting on clouds. And this palace is massive. They get up this. They get up there. They get up. They get. They get up. They get up, and then they go into the palace, and they see low-ranking spirits. Then they see five very high-ranking spirits. Naruto looks at him and says, "Well, low-ranking. Doma, you, Squidback, and Boarhead take care of those." It's like, he's a child. You can't put this kid. You can't have him fight. These guys will kill him. No, Naruto says, "Here." He throws Doma a bag of wooden talismans. Says, that can be your supply of paint. And here he then throws him a book so he can sketch, and a brush. Says, do as draw as much as you want. Just make sure you don't die. Naruto says, and seems those five, they're sitting like five that they're the five are like sitting in like golden chairs and just looking at them. Says, those five are ours, probably. Those five are ours. And when nods their head, and they blitz forward. That will be where I'm ending the part 2 of What If Naruto was a sorcerer, was a psychic.